Hey Luis, how's it going? Thanks for your note about being out of town and all that. Let's take a look at your stuff. I like that you have like a little bend, an implication of a bend in your comic book. Um, but to me, this feels huge for a comic book. I mentioned this in Alyssa's review as well. So it feels more like a large, like not just a magazine, but like a large magazine, like the way Rolling Stone used to be. I don't know if they still print magazines, but maybe we can hone in on kind of like a more whatever size you guys plan on making it more specifically. All right, so I'm still seeing like kind of just isolated movement without the whole thing moving. You know what I mean? So if you're going to do stuff like this, if you want this to be one of your poses that I'm supposed to critique, it's difficult for me to critique this. Maybe it's just me, but it's difficult for me to critique this a little bit with just the arms moving, because I'm like, it's hard for me to judge like what the weight's going to be doing, and then here just the head moves by itself. So I want like your golden poses. I just don't want like parts of the character moving on their own. Um, and I know I mentioned this last week, but maybe you weren't able to get to it. So if she's like rotating her torso back, if that's where you're going with her torso, like when does that rotation start? You know, does it start as she brings up her arms? Well, then I need to see what that's going to look like so I can give you like a proper critique on it. Like, does her center of gravity start to lower back a little bit? You know, does she start to go this way? Does it feel like her shoulders kind of dragging a little bit, so that like it's leading from center torso, like from her waist and her cog, you know. So you can have that in here with the arms lifting up and then her head turns. So maybe, you know, if we're going from this to this, then we can start just with a tiny thing, and then I can give you notes on your spacing and your arcs and all the good things I want to give you notes on. I feel like just doing stuff like this, like moving the arms without the torso moving or moving the head, that's not really blocking, that's not really golden poses. And yeah, I don't know, I don't really know how to give you help when it's just like individual parts of the body moving without it being like a fully realized thing. I'd rather see fewer totally resolved golden poses throughout all aspects of the body than just seeing like a single arm and head movement. Um, so yeah, because then it's like I can't even judge like offsets and stuff, you know, like she does this slap, like everything's, you know, I don't know. I think I've talked about it enough, so I'll quit going on and on about it. But yeah, and then you know, going into specific poses, I'll try to do it as much as I can. But you never want to bury. So when you have an eye ball and you have, you know, your pupil and iris and all this good stuff, whenever you cut it with a lid, you never want to cut the black part, really, unless they're like rolling their eyes back in their head, or if they're in some sort of euphoric state, or it's some kind of teenage eye roll. Um, and here, like, she's being cut, which makes it look like pretty demonic and stuff like that. All right. Also, the same note probably goes for here. So, you know, these, maybe the head rotation is like a little extreme, and that's forcing you to like do that. So then we would have to back off a little bit on the head rotation to keep that happening. Maybe same here. Well, here again, it looks like she's looking up, and so you have to kind of figure out where your kid is and where your look target's going to be, so you can keep it consistent from pose to pose, like where she should be looking, right? So like this eye thing isn't looking in different places in like every pose. Um, So yeah, I think that's where I'm gonna leave it. Try to get everything keyed on the same frame and try to like really work out the full entirety of the pose and the full entirety of the change that you're planning to make from pose to pose, and then I'll be able to give you more help. Like if her torso's rotating back here and we don't move this wrist at all, it's gonna read obviously as IK arms, which we don't want. because naturally I think if her wrist is rotating, if her body's rotating back like this, these arms would have some reaction, right? They would have some movement. And I think that you know that, so I don't want to spend our critique time on telling you things that you probably already know. That's not really gonna serve you and elevate the quality of this piece as much as we could if you're like fully working out these poses. All right. Anyways, yeah, I'll see you in class. Hope you do next. Oh wait, I wasn't sure what I could do with the constrained book as a stand-in plane. At least I shaped it out. Oh yeah, cool. Yeah, I really like that you kind of gave this a little bit of bend. And I know that you guys don't have a rigged comic book or anything to bend yet. Maybe that can come later. But yeah, it is important to have an accurately sized kind of like stand-in in its steed. Yeah. So anyways, hope you had a good trip. And yeah, I'll see you in class. All right.